Okay, so we have adding fractions for least common denominators. So say we have the fraction 1/3 plus 2/5. All right. Now, you can't add fractions with different denominators. It doesn't work because the denominator is telling you the size of the piece while your numerator is telling you how many. We have too big of pieces here. If you look back at the model video, you'll see why that doesn't work. All right, here's how you change it. Write your multiples for each denominator. So let's pick 3, our first denominator. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. All right, second denominator is 5. List your multiples. 5, 10, 15, 20. Least common denominator. So the lowest common denominator is 15. See how they're both 15 here? All right, so 3 can turn into 15 if I multiply it by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Whatever I do to the bottom, I have to do to the top. 5/15. Plus, I turn 5 into 15 by multiplying it 1, 2, 3. Times 3. Whatever I do to the bottom, gotta do to the top. 2 times 3 is 6. 5 plus 6 is 11. And I leave my denominator alone because that is just telling me the size of my pieces. Okay, I just want to make sure that this is clear. 1/3 is equal to 5/15. Look back at my model video. They are the same amount. This piece, this 3 is saying I have big pieces, while this 15 is saying I have itty bitty little pieces. So I need more of them to equal one big chunk of this. Okay, so let's talk about the different kinds of least common denominators. Sometimes you'll be able to just multiply them by each other. 3 times 5, 5 times 3. Sometimes you can turn one denominator into the other one. So this least common denominator is 6. Okay, 6 is alone. And 3 times 2 is 6. Whatever you do to the bottom, gotta do to the top. So we have 5/6. I just had to turn 1. Now, the other one so we've had it to where 1 can turn to the other. Well, 4 can't turn into 10. If I list my factors over, my multiples, 4, 8, 12. 4 can't turn into 10. All right? Well, 10 times 4 and 4 times 10, that's 40. That's a giant number. So instead, I list my factors, multiples. 10, 20, 30, 40. Okay, so I've listed a couple multiples for 4 and a couple multiples for 10. Well, no. Ah. 20. That's my least common denominator. So 4 times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 4 times 5 is 20. Whatever I do to the bottom, gotta do to the top. Ten times 1, 2 is 20. Whatever I do to the bottom, must do to the top. So I have 21 over 20. Again, I want to explain why we're doing this. You can't add 3/4 plus 3/10. Those denominators are different, meaning that they are different sizes. That doesn't work out. You have to make them the same size before you add them. And again, 3/4 is equal to 15/20. They are worth the same amount. Go look back at my model video. If I cut this circle up into 20 pieces, it would be shaded in just as much as my 3/4. Okay. And then, this is called an improper fraction. This is a fine way to write it for now. But later on, 21/20 is actually a whole and 1/20. Because, again with that model, one whole shape is 20/20. So since that's 21/20, I have one extra, 1/20. So it's one whole, because that 20/20 is one whole. One whole. And that extra one piece to make 21 is 1/20. Okay, remember, least common denominator. You got to make your denominators the same before you add them. And then you leave it alone. That's just telling you the size. You just add your numerators. Also remember, whatever you do to the bottom, gotta do to the top. So, 3 things to remember. Denominators must be the same. Whatever you do to the bottom, you gotta do to the top. And then you just add the numerator. 3 things. Denominators must be the same. Whatever you do to the bottom, you gotta do to the top. And you just add your numerators.